The president of the United States got back from Europe, and when asked by a child where he went, not only couldn't he remember, another child had to tell him where he went, and then he wanted to know how the child could remember because he couldn't. Will Johnson, President Biden, a couple weeks after he got back from Ireland, this is not a joke, forgot that he went to Ireland. And he was reminded that he left the country and went to a foreign country that he made a very big deal about by a child when he had gone on Good Friday to celebrate the end of decades of violence between the Protestants and the Catholics in Ireland. When he was there, he made a very big deal about his heritage and his Irish background. And then he comes back to the United States and somebody says, a child, what was the last country that you went to? Wanting to give him a follow-up question. And Biden could not remember. So he stalled, saying, quote, the last country I've traveled to, I'm trying to think. The last one I was in, well, I've been to 89. I've met 89 heads of state so far. And I'm trying to think, when was the last place? Where was the last place I was? It's so hard to keep track. I was, and then a child yells out, Ireland, you went to Ireland. And it's a little kid. And Biden goes, oh, that's where I was. Looked all surprised. How did you know that? So everybody on both sides of the Atlantic have been laughing about it ever since, that the leader of the free world went to a foreign country for quite some time, made a lot of videos there, and had no memory about where he went. Oh my God, Will Johnson, it took a little kid, looked like about 5 years old. I watched the video to remind him where he'd gone and what he'd done. And then after that, like we talked about the other day, he had a cheat sheet to tell him what the question was, who the reporter was, what the reporter looked like, what she was going to ask, and what he was going to answer. Does it scare you, Will, that the leader of the free world can't remember where he was last week?
I mean, last week, the last 2 minutes. you know what? This is the same country that he was in saying, I love it here. I'm not going back. And he couldn't remember the country that he loved it at, that he didn't want to come back to the United States of America. And the crazy thing is, Barry, we were all welcoming that idea. Yes, stay. By all means, stay. Don't return. But then we're like, well, make sure you keep Kamala Harris there with you, and then we'll be golden.
Well, then McCarthy would be president.
Yeah, well, we'll be slightly better then. But you know what? He can't remember anything. He only remembered was on his card telling him what to say. Oh, yeah, I need to remember this and I need to remember that. Other than that, he doesn't remember anything. He has to have on his card when to remember to when to change his diaper. That's how bad it really is. And people across the pond laughing at him, people here laughing at him. But it's really interesting, Barry, that the liberal media, they completely ignore that, like it never even happened.
Oh, it's all over the press in Europe, Will. They're noticing that the president of the United States goes to celebrate the peace in Northern Ireland, right? But he can't remember that he went to celebrate the peace in a country that he says is so important to his heritage. He must be reminded by a little 6 or 7-year-old kid that tells him where he just was. Shocking, but yet it's just the gaffe of the last couple of days, isn't it?
Yeah.